Once upon a time, in a small town nestled deep in the forest, there was a girl named Emily. She was an introverted and curious girl who loved to explore the woods around her home. Emily's parents were wealthy and well-connected, but she preferred the solitude of the forest to the high society events that her parents often hosted. One day, while exploring the woods, Emily stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin deep in the forest. The cabin was hidden by overgrown vines and moss, and Emily was intrigued. She pushed aside the vines and peered inside. The cabin was dark and musty, but she could see a glimmer of something shiny in the corner of the room. Curiosity getting the best of her, Emily stepped inside the cabin and picked up the shiny object. It was a small silver locket, and when she opened it, she saw a photo of a woman and a man. Emily felt a strange connection to the woman in the photo, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she had seen her before. As she was leaving the cabin, Emily noticed a trail of footprints leading away from the cabin. She followed the footprints deep into the forest until she came upon a clearing. In the center of the clearing was an old abandoned mansion, its windows boarded up, and its walls covered in ivy. Emily couldn't resist exploring the mansion. She found a way inside and began to explore the dark and eerie rooms. Suddenly, she heard a noise, and she froze in fear. It sounded like footsteps, but Emily knew that she was alone in the mansion. She cautiously continued to explore, and eventually, she found herself in the attic. In the attic, she found an old chest, and inside, she found a diary belonging to the woman in the photo from the locket. As Emily read the diary, she discovered that the woman was named Isabella, and she had lived in the mansion with her husband. But something terrible had happened to Isabella, and she had disappeared without a trace. Emily was convinced that the mansion was haunted by the ghost of Isabella, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She soon found out that her suspicions were correct when she was attacked by an unseen force while exploring the mansion. As she tried to escape the mansion, she discovered that the footprints she had followed earlier belonged to a man named Charles, who was responsible for Isabella's disappearance. Charles was now after Emily, and she had to use all of her wit and cunning to evade him and find a way out of the mansion. The suspenseful chase through the mansion was terrifying, with Emily being chased by Charles through the dark and eerie rooms. She eventually found a way out and made it back to the safety of her home, but she was forever changed by her experience. Months went by, and Emily tried her best to put the events of that day out of her mind. However, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story of Isabella and Charles than what she had uncovered. One day, Emily received a mysterious letter in the mail. The envelope was addressed to her, but there was no return address. Inside, she found a note that read, "There is more to the story of Isabella and Charles. Meet me at the abandoned mansion at midnight, and all will be revealed." Emily was hesitant but curious. She decided to go to the mansion, but this time she would be more cautious. As she made her way through the forest, she couldn't help but feel like she was being followed. When she arrived at the mansion, she found a man waiting for her. He introduced himself as Samuel and explained that he was a private investigator hired by Isabella's family to investigate her disappearance. Samuel had uncovered new evidence that could help solve the case, but he needed Emily's help. Together, they made their way back into the mansion and began to investigate. They found a hidden room that Isabella had used as a study, and inside, they found a stack of letters that revealed the truth about what had happened to her. Isabella had discovered that her husband Charles was having an affair with her best friend. She confronted him, and in a fit of rage, he killed her and disposed of her body. He had been able to cover up the crime for years, but Isabella's family had never given up hope of finding out what had happened to her. Samuel and Emily were able to gather enough evidence to finally bring Charles to justice. He was arrested and convicted of murder, and Isabella's family finally had closure. Emily was grateful for the experience, but she couldn't help but feel haunted by the memory of Isabella. She knew that she would never forget the thrill of the chase and the mystery of the abandoned mansion. Years went by, and Emily grew up to become a successful private investigator. She often thought back to the experience that had sparked her love for the mystery and adventure of solving crimes. She knew that she had found her true calling, and she was forever grateful for the events that had led her to it. Emily continued to solve mysteries and cases, using her wit, intelligence, and curiosity to uncover the truth. She became known for her tenacity and her ability to solve even the most challenging cases. One day, she received a call from a wealthy businessman named Thomas, who had a unique and challenging case for her. Thomas was convinced that his wife, Maria, was having an affair and wanted Emily to find evidence to prove it. At first, Emily was hesitant to take the case. She didn't like the idea of spying on someone and potentially ruining their life. However, Thomas was persistent, and he offered her a substantial sum of money to take on the case. Emily reluctantly agreed, but as she began to investigate, she discovered that there was more to the story than a simple case of infidelity. She uncovered a web of lies, deceit, and betrayal that threatened to destroy Thomas's entire family. As she delved deeper into the case, Emily realized that Maria was not having an affair. Instead, Thomas was the one who was cheating, and he had gone to great lengths to cover it up. Emily also discovered that Thomas was involved in a vast criminal enterprise, using his business as a front to launder money and carry out illegal activities. Emily knew that she had stumbled onto something much bigger than a simple case of infidelity. She decided to confront Thomas and give him an ultimatum: come clean about his illegal activities or face the consequences. Thomas was initially resistant, but he eventually realized that he had no choice. He confessed to his crimes and agreed to cooperate with the authorities to bring down the criminal enterprise he had been involved in. Emily's work had not only helped Thomas's family avoid a potentially devastating scandal, but it had also helped to bring down a dangerous criminal organization. She knew that her work was making a difference, and she felt fulfilled knowing that she was helping to make the world a better place. As she walked away from the case, Emily knew that she would continue to seek out the truth, no matter where it took her. She was grateful for the experiences that had led her to become a private investigator, and she knew that she was doing what she was meant to do.